Hey guys, I'm gonna do something different today. I'm gonna do what a lot of people do, these unboxing videos, right? I've been ordering a bunch of old fourth edition books, mostly campaign settings and stuff like that. Why have I been doing that? I got this today from Wayne's book. The fourth edition D&D is really inexpensive right now, and I love having all the RPG systems because every RPG system, every edition has elements to it that you can put in your house rules, or if you design your own game, you can take concepts and expand on it. So let's just see what we got here. I don't even know which one this is. I ordered a whole bunch of them recently. Let's just open up and take a look at it. We're just going to use this very sharp object here to cut through this. We should probably, I guess, open it from the top. I'm not like going to send it back or anything. But whoever's packed this has made sure it was packed pretty tight. I'm just going to lift this up so we don't cut the book itself. And let's get in here. There we go. Okay, they are very cool, and they put this with a cardboard protector around it so it wouldn't get folded. That's really nice. So just get a box, a basic box, and then they folded cardboard around it and taped it up so it wouldn't get destroyed because the U.S. Postal Service can do some nasty things. And let's just see what we got here. This is a brand new blade, so just barely have to put any pressure on it at all. A Forgotten Realms Player Guide. Now I ordered a whole bunch of these. You can even see there's a previous box that was used. Good idea, though. So this is from Wayne's Books. Oh, cool. Check this out. This stuff's all kind of baby shrink wrapped. It's kind of a fake shrink wrapping. They just taped it closed, and they have goodies on the inside. You're not supposed to do this with media mail. Technically, you're not supposed to do that. So we're not a collector, so let's just see what this is. These are his business card for Wayne's Books. Hey, that's really cool. It's got a little dungeon thing. It looks like something that Dice and Logos did. And sell us your stuff. It's easy. That's cool. I like this. I think this is very neat that they sent this along. I will save this. I love old school stuff. Now, this book. Now, for me, I grew up with AD&D, mostly. When the Forgotten Realms came out, it's like 1987, 86, 87, 88, whatever. And all these books came out, and I bought them all and read them all, especially the Dritz Jordan books before they came out. And I like the Forgotten Realms because Karen Wynne Fonstadt did a series of maps that look. She also did the Lord of the Rings Middle Earth maps, and she's done some other ones too. Her maps are amazing. In the long term, there's just so much Elminster whoop-de-dooness going on in this realm. I don't like it that much. This is a relatively thin book. I'm not even sure. This is like $30 back in the day when you could get it. Let's just take a look on the inside. This is in great condition. There's no wow, that hasn't even been opened. Like no one's ever opened the book before. That's great. Let's get this nasty guy off of here. This is the Jeremy Crawford, Rob Heinsoe section. Rob Heinsoe's a designer on 13th Age, I believe, after he got away from TSR. Bruce Cordell, Richard Baker, these are all famous game designers in the game industry. Jeremy Crawford's in here. So Bill Slavisek, I think he works on the Elder Scrolls Online now. This may be a little too blown out on exposure. Let me turn that down a little bit. I'm going to turn the exposure down a touch because I don't want it to be completely blown out. Let me just turn this exposure down just a little bit. It'll be a little bit dark, but hopefully that will help the pages read a little bit better when we get these really white pages. There we go. That's a little better. The one thing in 4th edition that you may not have never noticed is that the people that did the writing in the 4th edition are much better writers than the people that wrote for 5th edition. Now, when it goes back to 3.0 and 3.5, things became so mechanic heavy. It was more mechanic oriented, but in 4th edition, they put a lot of time and energy in like 10 important facts about the realm. How do I use this book into the future? The artwork is fantastic. It's way better than some of the artwork in Pathfinder. It's way better. And then they had this nice, three-dimensional kind of design on the interior. But the exterior, they said, hey, listen, we're just going to keep it nice and embossed. This is actually embossed. It feels really nice. Really great, really wonderful book. Even the whole layout is really beautiful. It's not noisy and junky. My stuff is garbage compared to this. And I love this technique they did in 4th edition where they have this like dark color that's just gradient fading away. So everything just is soft. Playing Drow Adventures. Talking about the Genasi, how you pronounce it. Dragonborn, which I didn't like. I never thought Dragonborn. They've never been in any of my community. Eladrin's okay. It's just another version of Elf. Then you have Elves and Halflings. Just flipping through the book here. Tieflings, which I think are silly. Why do I think Tieflings are silly? Tieflings are silly, and that's Obsidian Entertainment's fault for when they did Neverwinter Nights 2. They put this Tiefling female character in the game, and boy, was she obnoxious. It made me hate all Tieflings. Gnomes, lycanthropes, half-orcs, divas, shades, Goliath. So they're talking about the other, races in that realm, in the Forgotten Realms. They talk about, in the world it's called Toril. This is a great piece of artwork here. Swordmage, that's interesting. That's a class with all their at-wills and their encounter powers. Oh, this is one thing I loved about 4th edition is like if you had little cards for all these, you could have the cards with your character while you're playing. It'd be so much easier for you to decide which kit you need to have with you as opposed to trying to memorize it in the book. So that's really nice. They added a Warlock Dark Pact in here. That's really cool. Oh man, all the way up to level 30. Spellscarred. Gee whiz, look at these class utility powers. There's so many of them. It's amazing. It's so much nicer to read a power that just has like one instant. Your attack conveys more than just steal, right? Or you fade in and out of existence for a moment for a utility power called Body No Body. Like it makes sense. It doesn't require like this big paragraph and 20 different traits to tell you what it does. I just love that about 4th edition. I don't like the Dragonborn. They're just weird. They even had them in the last World of Warcraft expansion. Dragonflight, which I played and had a lot of fun in PvP in that, but then eventually got bored with it. Coronal Guard, Dark Walker. It's funny how, these role-playing game companies, they have these concept artists and they contract them all out. And some of them, like this one here, this artist here is fantastic, whereas this artist here, it's okay. It doesn't feel as developed of a piece of artwork. And the signature pieces are really great. And then every now and then you have this one piece in here, it's a little bit goofy, but these look good. These look really good. Elemental Earthheart Defenders, Elemental Tempest. So right now, majority of this book is all character classes. We're just in chapter 2. That's great. If you think about how many character classes are in Pathfinder 2nd edition, you're certainly getting a lot of character classes in 4th edition. Impulturan Demon Slayer. Wow. Ranger 2-blade fighting styles requirement. That sounds really neat. Great piece of artwork here. Don't like these. They always have these pictures of someone like happily jumping off a mountain with a hammer in their hand. It's like, why are you happy about jumping to your death? Spellscarred Wizards. Like this piece isn't as strong. Hey, I'm no artist though, but I'm just a consumer and a gamer. This is great. This kind of artwork here is just so dramatic. It's like the portraits from Neverwinter. Sword Coast Corsairs. We're still in the Chapter 2 character classes. A lot of character classes in this one. Chapter 2, after just the overview about the different races, which is really kind of telling you about most of the races you pretty much already know. They're in Toril or the Forgotten Realms. We're on page 71. We got 50 pages of classes in this one. This Wildfire Genasi, that's how you pronounce it. That's an amazing piece of artwork there. That's really cool. Epic Destinies. Okay, now we get to backgrounds. This is really interesting. This piece of work is okay. It's kind of like, could use another pass. It just feels incomplete. Talk about this region of the world. Algorand. Alcanul, that's how you pronounce it. That's great. Everyone knows about Baldur's Gate, classic location. So this is giving you a little bit about the world without being, because remember, this is the player's guide. This is not for the DM. Like a player could buy this and read it, and they basically would impart upon you the amount of knowledge you would have if you lived there, right? And the types of things you heard stories about, the different type of people you've encountered. It's not really giving. This isn't a DM book. It's going to show you exactly like, hey, in the Dales, this is dungeon over here, and this is where you can get this stuff. Common knowledge from the Dragon Coast. This is great. Really good book. Really jam-packed with stuff. The art layout is brilliant. You notice the color scheme changing from you go from one chapter to another. Excuse me. Besides all the powers. See this light brown metal edge color scheme going through the whole book? These browns and sepia tones, they're brilliant. Look really good. Really nice. El Haro. This is almost like everything you need as a player. I mean, wow, this is so many pages of this content. I'm not even going to flip through it because it's deserving of there's no reason why you couldn't use this in your 5e campaign or use it in your home world. I mean, you could take one of these locations and change its name and move it and lift it and put it in your world and no one's going to complain. I do see a lot of times people on Facebook saying, hey, I'm creating my own campaign world. I kind of wonder, give me some ideas, hive mind, what I should do. Well, this is what you should do. I mean, these kinds of things here. This is really cool. I love these chicken scratch maps from Luskan. That's fantastic. Some people call it Luskan. I call it Luskan. Moonshae Islands, I love that region. It's really neat background. If you like pirates and stuff, that's a good place to do it. Myth Draenor, oh, it's so classic. This is from like 1986 or 7, I think is when it started. Narfell, oh, wonderful adventures. The Trackless Sea has got some great areas in it. Netheril. Now we're getting to the end of the book, so I have to kind of hold. I am going to be flipping a little bit because I have to hold the book. Thay, everyone knows about them. Red Wizards. Timanther. This is really good. This is a really great book. Look how much writing is in it. It's not trying to overwhelm us with art. That's one thing that I'm not I'm not a Paizo fanboy. I'm just a big supporter of them because they're the best publisher out there doing something. But this epic, this is a piece by Sai. This period of D&D, the writing is just so good. It's such a shame it's labeled as this MMO style version of the game. It's like you give people powers and they suddenly think that it's a MMO. And I think that's all because people call them controllers and this kind of business. Rituals, that's great. You got to have those as well. Wow, there's a lot of options in here. And there's an almanac. Oh, great. This isn't very thick. This part's very short. It talks about the deities of Toro, the lore of the land, the calendar, Harptos, the roll of the years, language, coin, currency, class, families, learning, adventure, Spellplague, and the cosmology. The Spellplague is what everyone knows about it. That's really important. Here's the deities. There's a series of books about the gods when they all fell down, like Corlan. And Corlan and Lolth have a huge history, actually. They took Lolth from AD&D, Gygax, Vault of the Drow, and have a backstory in the book called Evermeet. I forgot the name of the lady that wrote the book. Corlan and Lolth have an interesting relationship before she becomes a dark elf. And there she is there. Saloon. I always enjoyed their deities in Forgotten Realms because there weren't that many of them. Shar is really awesome. Because characters seem to intelligently be, it made sense for certain characters to have one deity over another. This is the calendar, which is just kind of RPG stuff. Roles and the seasonal elements, coin and commerce, how that works, class and station, and the languages. This is a nice one to have. It's one thing that you don't really see a lot at the table is people like, you go somewhere, you assume everyone's speaking English, right? It's just like you go to Europe and you in Germany and then you're in Hungary, like the places I've been, and the languages are very different. It's hard to pick up one over the other. So languages is a cool part of your campaign. And then the cosmology, and the information on the Spellplague is just kind of boiled down to this. I'll give you a quick snippet here. Nearly a century ago, Faerun was ripped apart by an unfettering of wild magic known as the Spellplague. Although sages and clerics might argue about the origin of the Spellplague, the effect was apparent to all. Huge swaths of the landscape were rent asunder. Entire nations were drowned, and large regions collapsed into the Underdark or were thrust up as spires of stone. Land became far more magical and fantastic in appearance, with islands of rock called earth motes floating in the sky. The Spellplague infected everything: flesh, stone, magic, space, and dimensional walls, and even cosmology. Another effect of the Spellplague was to breach the barrier between the twin worlds of Abyr and Toril. Please correct my pronunciation. I can't even say Ios correctly. I think it's Uz. Scattered across Faerun to the west, the entire continent of Matstika vanished, replaced by a new continent many call Return to Abyr. Although the Spellplague has largely run its course, its legacy lingers. Most creatures warped by the Spellplague have since died. So this gives you a little bit of background. That was a big element in a lot of the stories. Oh, great. Now this is cool. Logan Bonner. Check it out. That's great, isn't it? So Logan Bonner worked for a while, I believe, from like 2004 and on, and he worked on a number of books over there at Wizards of the Coast, and he's like one of the leads on Pathfinder. The guy has got the emotional intelligence of Einstein, and he's smart as hell, and he's well spoken. He's got a great vocabulary. His Twitter feed says some funny stuff, but he's just goofing around. Richard Baker's been around forever. Brees Cordell's been around forever. The other guys, just because I don't recognize their main name doesn't mean they don't deserve recognition. Rob Heinsoe was one of the lead designer of 4th edition across the board. Wow, this is fantastic. It's just so nice to see the guys who do this stuff. Some of these guys have moved on into the video game industry. Some have made their own companies. Like Rob Heinsoe has his own game publishing company now. Richard Baker, gosh, he did Alternity and a bunch of other games a long time ago. This is fantastic. Really cool. Really, really, really cool. They call Logan Bonner a mechanical designer. He's much more than that. He created the Dungeon Tiles D&D miniatures and worked on the classes for the 4th edition Player's Handbook. Hello. So, the guy had to think about all the powers and how they're going to do with a team of other people and come up with the themes for the classes. That's not easy to do. This guy deserves a lot of accolades. I'm a big fan. And it's always fun you get a book like this and you can go back in time and see the little ads, like the RPGA, and stuff like that. I even still have the character builder, electronic character builder on my machine. It's really fun to use. So this is a cheap book. I think it cost me $17. And no one wants these things anymore. And this is the thing about this is so cool. Because when it first came out, right, back in 2007, sorry about shaking the table. Whoa, let's make you sick. We got this 4th edition core rulebook the day it came out. We were working in Budapest making the Crisis game, right? And they had this little box, and this box cost $104, right? And we got it off of Amazon. and had it sent to the United States. And I'm not going to flip through all these books, right? Which had the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Monster Manual, and the Player's Handbook. And I even wrote the date the day I got it. July the 9th, 2008. That's cool, isn't it? A little touch of history. This system is good. It deserves more love. It deserves video series. It deserves live playthroughs. You should buy these books and check it out. Just don't try buying this stuff on eBay. The Wayne's book stuff has turned out to be really well. I bought a couple books from people on Facebook, but it's just kind of like you're sometimes don't get what you want. But this is a good purchase. This is a good one. And, if you get a chance to play 4th edition, don't roll your nose up because people on the internet are saying, it sucks, it's crap, it's garbage. It's actually really, really good. There's nothing wrong with it at all. In fact, I would even say that it's far better than 5th. And here's the last thing I'll say. There's a lot of stuff in Pathfinder that's exactly the same as in 4th edition. But they had some major sweeping differences, like they have spell lists, and they don't have spell lists in this game. But a lot of the conditions and there's a lot of the elements are very much the same. This is a fantastic advancement for D&D to move away from 3.5. There's nothing wrong with 3.5. He just kind of got out of control. And anytime you have these games where you keep adding and adding and adding classes, it's very dangerous. You can get out of control. But when you have really good designers like Logan Bonner and some of these other guys working on it, everything stays tight knit. So I imagine what it would be a fly on the wall back in those days when these guys were talking about what should be some of the new classes that we give for the Forgotten Realm. So this is a great player book. If you ever get a chance to get it for yourself, go ahead and grab it. So if you like these kind of videos, because, we're telling stories about the games we like to play and the books and everything all related to our hobby, let me know and I'll make more of these kinds of things. I have a lot of books coming. I have a lot of Mongoose Traveler books. I have a lot of cool stuff coming. And, oh, man, just really getting back into the gaming again. It's just so fun. All right, guys, take care. We'll talk to you soon. If you like these videos, give me some feedback and we'll do more. All right, take care. We'll see you later.